is now my honor to introduce to you our moderator and first speaker, Kenny Ouedraogo. Kenny is a Seattle native, born and raised. He's a first-year student at Seattle University studying political science, specializing in legal studies. And he's in the honors program with the goal of attending law school afterwards. He currently serves as the first-year senator on the student government of Seattle University, SDSU. Kenny will be speaking about salmon decline and treaty rights, and then he will continue on to moderate the rest of the event and introduce each of our other speakers. Please give a warm welcome to Kenny.
Thank you. All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for being here today, whether you're in person or on Zoom. Like Yolanda said, thank you for the warm introduction. My name is Kenny Ouedraogo, and it's an honor to start off the 7th edition of Earth Talks for Earth Day. So in addition to moderating the event, like Yolanda said, I'll be contributing an Earth Talk myself about salmon decline and treaty rights. So 2 years ago, when I was a junior at Seattle Preparatory School, I participated in the Northwest Ignatian Advocacy Summit, which is a student-led advocacy network with participation from Seattle University, Gonzaga University, and 5 Jesuit high schools in the area. The summit focused on housing, immigration, and the environment, specifically on the survival of salmon and how pollution and hydroelectric dams threaten their existence. It culminated in a town hall in this very same room, Student Center 160, where I delivered similar remarks. This issue matters to me because in Washington State, our education in elementary, middle, and high school centers in large part on Native American history and the founding of our state. That education includes how well indigenous communities thrived before colonization and the irreparable harms afterwards. Many people think that this issue just impacts salmon, but that's far from true. I care about it because it's much bigger than salmon. It's about respecting the voices of the tribes that were never considered regarding decisions that impacted them. It's about ensuring that traditions that depend on salmon can continue and can thrive. And it's about protecting the circle of life and the 138 animals that rely on salmon for their ecosystem, orca whales, birds, and seals, just to name a few. As global warming and pollution harms the planet, indigenous tribes who've taken care of these lands for thousands of years continue to lose more and more of their culture each day. In 1916, when the Montlake Cut just north of us was created, the levels of Lake Washington decreased by 9 feet. When the Duwamish River on the way to West Seattle was industrialized for shipping in 1920, it became a polluted waterway. In both instances, the original environment was destroyed and human and marine life could no longer be sustained there, although indigenous tribes lived along these waterways long before settlers arrived. And lastly, this issue is about honoring the many treaties that the tribes were forced to sign. Under Article 6, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution, it states that all treaties made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land. With the Treaty of Point Elliott signed in 1855, the indigenous tribes were forced to cede massive territories and move onto reservations and trade exclusively with the United States, and they were forced to assimilate into American culture. The only provisions that benefited them in that treaty and the many others like it were hunting and fishing rights on unclaimed land. However, that became impossible to uphold because we kept taking more and more land away and destroying the environment in that process. The environment that they needed to survive and thrive just as they did for thousands of years. And this isn't just morally wrong, but legally, by not honoring these treaties, we break our very own laws that we force the indigenous communities to follow. So overall, this issue is about working to correct the many wrongs in the past and do what's right now for the planet and for our First Peoples and future generations. And so one thing that we've asked each of our Earth Talks participants and speakers to do today is to, as they present their actual presentations to you, to give you all a specific action to do in your own lives to help further the actions of climate justice. So today, I'd like to call on you for the issue of salmon decline to reach out to your state and county representatives and ask them to invest in preserving and protecting our remaining salmon. And also for the Ignatian Advocacy Summit, it's organized by University Ministry every year, and I would highly encourage Seattle University students to get involved in that work, especially because it helps empower high school students like myself to take up that torch of advocacy and social justice. So if you're interested, please come see me after the event if you want to know more.